On November 18th, 2020, a strange object was discovered in Utah by a team of surveying biologists. What they found caught their eye from below, revealing itself to be a large metal pillar. It stood 10 feet tall in the middle of a rocky canyon. Initially, there was no evidence as to who or what planted the monolith into the ground. 5 days later, on Monday, November 23rd, the find was officially unveiled to the public through a press release. The news of a hidden monolith spread quickly on social media. Videos of public officials studying and measuring the object amassed hundreds of thousands of views on Twitter, where it became one of the most discussed topics at the time. Many online were left puzzled by its construction and placement and debated its meaning. Speculation about the monolith's origin was quickly narrowed down to one prevailing theory, that it was just some kind of elaborate art project. But many held out hope that the object might have had a paranormal explanation, that it could have been an alien artifact. Comparisons were made to an iconic scene from 2001, A Space Odyssey, where a black slab is discovered by a group of apes. This was a key piece of evidence for one theory that claimed the object was simply the creation of a sculptor paying homage to the film. The Utah Department of Public Safety initially withheld the exact location of the structure. They gave their reasoning in a public statement. It is in a very remote area, and if individuals were to attempt to visit the area, there is a significant possibility they may become stranded and require rescue. Despite attempts to obfuscate the location of the monolith, its coordinates were discovered using Google Earth data in just a few hours. It's similar to what happened to the He Will Not Divide Us experiment, where the location of the installation was continuously leaked, leading to a higher and higher stakes game of cat and mouse. The coordinates of the Utah monolith revealed it to be standing 17 miles out from the nearest town of Moab. The object's environment proved extremely difficult to access. A spokesman for the Utah Division of Wildlife Resources described the area surrounding the monolith as a tough place to get to on vehicle and on foot. A user from the above top secret forum further emphasized the danger of the journey, claiming it could in actuality be as far as 70 road miles over unforgiving terrain, making a one-way journey take the better part of a day. The combination of challenging terrain and the remoteness of the area made it difficult for information to leave the site, as any prospecting researcher would have to make the demanding trek through the harsh desert. The obelisk had propelled itself to the forefront of the internet's mass consciousness, and experienced explorers were looking to make the journey. Following the spread of the discovery, several explorers wasted no time to reach the basin where the monolith stood. YouTuber Heavy D Sparks utilized a private helicopter to reach the site. Upon arrival, their team met other explorers who, like themselves, tracked down the coordinates from the same source. Both parties claimed to be the first to make it to the monolith. Their close examination of the monolith revealed its riveted exterior. The rudimentary build quality was apparent to both parties, where they stated that they could easily make a better one. A first-hand glimpse of the monolith by a private party served to undermine speculation regarding any extraterrestrial origin, instead pointing to a clearly man-made design. While the broader internet obsessed over the details of the long journey to the canyon, many more debated the potential purpose and symbolic meaning within the design of the monolith. Though some dismissed it as just a reference to 2001, this failed to address why someone would leave it out in the middle of nowhere, where ostensibly no one would ever see it. Google Earth data suggested that it was at least 5 years old, planted sometime before 2016. Further speculation theorized that the monolith could be a leftover and discarded movie prop. This stemmed from the fact that Dead Horse Point, the general area where the monolith was found, had been used as a backdrop for multiple productions, including Westworld, John Carter, and The Last Crusade. This was quickly debunked, as the Utah Film Commission definitively stated, the monolith that was found in Utah this week is not from a film production. To some observers, the monolith's appearance fell into the established tradition of land art. This movement, exemplified by Robert Smithson's Spiral Jetty, Nancy Holt's Sun Tunnels, and Carl Moman's Tree of Life, has accentuated the natural landscape of the region. The vast mountains and desert provide unique ways for artists to create large-scale installations, intending for them to be discovered by the most extreme explorers. One of the more compelling theories concerning the origin of the monolith was that it was created by a man named John McCracken, a minimalist sculptor based in New Mexico, where he lived until his death in 2011. The theory gained traction due to John's work featuring large minimalist slabs. It became a credible enough theory for news publications to investigate further and begin asking questions to McCracken's collaborators and acquaintances. To get a better understanding of the new theory standing between John McCracken and the monolith, it is worth taking a closer look at his artistic career and how this connection was made in the first place. John McCracken is best known for resin-coated fiberglass slabs and intensely geometric paintings. His experimentation with sculpting began sometime in the 60s while living in California. Using combinations of industrial materials, he created the smooth and seamless objects he eventually became famous for. Pieces like Teton, Magic, and Kazing are, at first glance, identical to the sculpture found in Utah. In an interview with the New York Times, artist James Hayward considered the object to be the work of an imposter, stating, "It's a giant hoax, as far as I'm concerned. The object in the photos I have seen is crudely made. I looked at the corners as much as I could. They are made by a machine called a brake, which bends metal. When you bend metal with a machine, the corners are not sharp and crisp, they're rounded." McCracken was known for his resistance to machinery, preferring to work by hand. This contradicts the construction of the Utah monolith, which has obvious seams and rivets. Any real McCracken is totally seamless. This supports one of the original theories, that whoever created the object in the first place was just making a tribute to McCracken, Kubrick, or just wanted to make an interesting piece of land art. David Sverner, the gallery owner who represents McCracken's work, initially claimed that it was indeed one of John's original pieces. Days later, however, he retracted this statement, now of the belief that the object was simply the work of a fellow artist paying homage. It's possible that Mr. Sverner's initial assessment was made in haste due to the hype surrounding the monolith, and a closer examination prompted the correction. John McCracken's death, well before the monolith was thought to be installed, left theorists with many unresolved questions. Those close to John himself were divided. His artistic collaborators believed the monolith to be a tribute to his work. It seemed unlikely that John would be able to construct such an object and transport it without ever mentioning it to anyone else. John's son Patrick had a different view of the situation. He spoke to the New York Times. "We were standing outside, looking at the stars, and he said something to the effect of that he would like to leave his artwork in remote places to be discovered later. When asked if he thought John might have been joking, "No. I thought it was something that he would do," he said. He was inspired by the idea of alien visitors leaving objects that resembled his work, or that his work resembled. This discovery of a monolith piece, that's very much in line with his artistic vision.
Like we're illusions, in a sense, that have, we as humans, that have all kinds of space, so to speak, and possibilities and dimensions of life, in a sense, behind the front that we appear as in the world and in our reality. So I like pieces, sculptures that do something of the same thing, as if they are essentially from another world and haven't forgotten that. Maybe that's why the polished surfaces and the so-called sensuousness or whatever.
The monolith's creator remains anonymous, and no identifying evidence has been found since its discovery. On November 24th, a user on X, 4chan's board for paranormal and supernatural discussion, posted this timestamped image. Subject line, Metal Monolith. Get in here, the message read. Alongside this, a timestamped image of the desert was posted, signaling that the picture was genuine and belonged to the original poster. This user became known as Adventure Anon within the thread. Further in the thread, the OP wrote, "Update. I'm on a big-ass plateau, and I'm on foot at this point. I'm going to walk to the edge of the plateau and look across the canyon. Probably meditate, because it's nice as fuck out here, and then formulate a plane to come on from the other side. Without another image to back this up, the replies became skeptical of the forthcoming journey. Later on in the same thread, Adventure Anon posted this image, giving the finger to a desert landscape, confirming to everyone that he was, in fact, making the journey to the site on foot. A few moments later, he again uploaded an image, this time showing a bird's eye view of the site from a bluff several miles away. As he prepared to make the journey down into the canyon, several posters noted the presence of helicopters in the area. While this didn't confirm that the OP was being followed, like some posters like to believe, it might have been related to Heavy D Sparks' trip to the Monolith, which was also by helicopter. In response to a threatening message from another user, Adventure Anon stated, "I've got a FNX 45 on my hip, Bren 2 in the vehicle, and I just butt-chugged a monster. I'll smoke you." He attached a photo of his hand, still with outstretched middle finger, holding the crushed can of Monster. A second thread was created after the first received its maximum amount of posts at one time, which is common for extremely active threads on the site. Adventure Anon's opening post read, "So here's the deal. I came in from above the Monolith. My shitty map reading skills led me to the top of a plateau. I do believe I know where it is now, and a shorter way to it, so I don't have to go clear to Monticello and back up in. Also, I've been butt-chugging energy drinks, so don't fuck with me. I did see 2 SUVs approaching the site from the south, and I ran into a group of 4 people on foot. I talked with them. They were also looking for it. I never saw them again, which is weird, because we were surrounded by cliffs on 3 sides. Maybe they were A's." A's refers simply to aliens or extraterrestrials, in reference to the widespread A. Lamau image. Other posters, or Anons, urged the OP to get to the site as soon as possible, as the Bureau of Land Management recently announced that the object may soon be removed. In another reply, Adventure Anon mentioned that it would take him 3 hours to reach the bottom of the basin. "I can go back to Moab and up Colorado River on the east side. Then there should be a heavily trafficked trail." At this point, the Anons in the thread began to lose hope. "I'm not going to post for a while. I need to concentrate so I don't get lost. If you're wondering how I have service, it's because I have a signal booster with a Verizon jetpack. I'm currently driving out back to Highway 191. Since I'm driving, someone verify if I can travel up the east side of the river via Moab." Several users convinced him to use a trip code when authoring his posts, essentially ensuring that no one can pretend to be Adventure Anon. In another new thread, Adventure Anon posted an additional timestamped image. "It's me, the guy who went the wrong way. Here is what's real. I did see 2 SUVs approaching for what I believe is Lockhart Road. They weren't government vehicles by the looks of it, but again, I was far away on the canyon rim, looking down into the site. I did run into a group of 4 people who must have come in on foot. I never saw them again though, which is really strange because I was on somewhat of a plateau surrounded on 3 sides by 200-foot cliffs. I believe I located their vehicles on the way out though, just in case they go missing. At least I know where they were parked. I did take some photos that Anons were able to compare against sat images. I did butt-chug a monster. I'm currently on the 191 at a rest stop, looking at maps to decide where to go next." In the same thread, Adventure Anon confirmed that he meditated while observing the scenery, which he found to be beautiful. While it remains unknown if Adventure Anon ever made it to the Monolith at all, in November of 2020, he most certainly did not. In a series of posts, the hike was claimed to be a scouting mission, and he stated that he was prepared to do exactly what he did, ending the saga by stating, "I have to get ready for a long work trip that I leave for tomorrow. It will be a week before I get a chance to be in Grand County again." Adventure Anon has not been heard from since, and no one has posted under the identifying trip code. Amidst the comments made at his expense, Adventure Anon made several posts to deflect the expectations of the past several threads. For those who were watching the story unfold, they were undeniably let down. A wise man once said, "OP never delivers." One of his last posts contained a poetic ending to the journey. "I'm not racing to find it first. There's plenty of crazy shit to explore in this area. I find seashells out here, dinosaur footprints, ancient pottery, crazy petroglyphs of 3-fingered A's. Just remember, while you're sitting there sneezing, I'm out here living life." On November 27th, the monolith was removed. The Bureau of Land Management released a statement. We have received credible reports that the illegally installed structure, referred to as the Monolith, has been removed from Bureau of Land Management public lands by an unknown party. The BLM did not remove the structure, which is considered private property. We do not investigate crimes involving private property, which are handled by the local sheriff's office. 4 individuals walked up to the object, knocked it down, tore off the panels, and hauled it away. Andy Lewis took credit for the dismantling. An accomplice wrote to the New York Times, "This land wasn't physically prepared for the population shift." As environmentalists, they took issue with the massive attraction that the desert had quickly become. While the monolith was still standing, camper vans, trucks, cars, bikes, helicopters turned the desert into a parking lot. Trash littered the previously pristine canyon. It only made sense that eventually someone would take issue with the scene it had become, whether that be the Bureau of Land Management or an ideologically driven group of individuals. A month later, Andy posted a video of the monolith standing in his backyard. Restored to its former glory, the monolith was donated to the Bureau of Land Management for further investigation. 4 years later, there has been no more information about the sculpture's whereabouts. After the teardown of the monolith in Utah, a wave of copycats began to appear around the world. However, these imitations lacked a quality construction compared to the original, a sculpture with famously mediocre craftsmanship. This rush to create duplicates likely stemmed from a desire for hype as well as quick and easy headlines. In California, an imitation was discovered and destroyed within days by religiously motivated protesters. It was shoddily replaced with a wooden cross. Another monolith, this time in Romania, was discovered several days after the removal of the original in Utah. The object stood on the Budka Domni Plateau, overlooking the city of Patronamt. The mayor sarcastically attributed to terrible alien teenagers, suggesting that they were planting metal monoliths around the world, first in Utah and then at Patronamt. Reporters referred to the project as being created by a bad welder. 4 days later, the Romanian monolith disappeared without a trace. But there were many more monoliths. Montreal, Albuquerque, Colombia, Finland. Over 200 similar monoliths were quickly constructed and hastily torn down, all as a testament to an anonymous artist leaving their mark on the open desert. When the monolith was discovered, it created a global phenomenon, resulting in hundreds of similar sculptures being created by people worldwide. Many were driven to make their own as an homage to the original or to further the discussions of alien involvement. While the paranormal theories proved to be false, the narrative became focused on the individual creations around the world, spurred by a single sculpture in the middle of nowhere. Whoever created the original monolith has never chosen to reveal their identity. Even if John McCracken was responsible for the construction, the artist never wanted anyone to know about its creation. Unfortunately, there isn't any definitive evidence to attribute the object to a single person. Regardless, John McCracken ultimately left a mark on the world through his artistic contributions. His sculptures stand as a testament to his life and creativity. As one of his final posts, Adventure Anon said his detractors were sneaking at home while he lived life. In a strange way, that same sentiment applies to the monolith's true creator. The public couldn't get enough of what was called monolith mania. While this was all happening, somewhere, amidst the headlines, underneath the noise, a nameless artist or group of artists could be proud of what they had truly accomplished, making something for the sake of it.